When I got to my mother's house, I could feel my irritation heighten. This conversation was long overdue, and it was partially my fault why it hadn't been had yet. I was way too angry to talk to her about it, after I learned more about my deceased father. Although the man she told me was my father had died years ago, she didn't tell me he was my father until after his death. It wasn't like I could establish a relationship with him. Knowing he was my dad wasn't for my benefit, though. I realized years later what it was all about. She needed me to benefit from him financially. I remember going to do blood work when I was 15 or so. I now knew that was to prove he was my father. As my legal guardian, she had a right to some of David's money. David Guillory was an amazing basketball player, and I enjoyed watching him play for the Wizards later in his career, as a kid, not knowing I could have been watching live and in living color. I didn't notice how much we resembled until I knew of our connection. David had even more of a spotlight on him because of his connection to the famous rapper Noah. He was his stepfather at some point and had been a part of his life since he was 4 years old. I only reached out to Noah 6 months ago because now that I was a famous basketball player, I knew he would take me seriously and wouldn't be as hesitant to meet me. Since our acquaintance, I knew he probably would have met with me regardless, whether I was famous or not. He was just that great of a guy. Listening to all his stories of how great a father figure David had been for him infuriated me.